Hello and good morning. My name is Bill. Um, I'm here today to speak to you about mental health. Something that I never ever thought I'd have to contend with. But today is more about sharing my story with you and letting you know that you are not alone when it comes to suffering with mental health. And there are so many different aspects to mental health to contend with, and so much that we don't understand. Uh, my story probably starts from my early childhood, when I was born, and the fact that I was adopted and grew up through life as a very angry young kid, went to the military, was exposed to some ugly things that I don't care to recall if I can help it, and then fought through life with so many anger issues, low self-esteem issues, fighting for acceptance because of the feeling of abandonment as a child. Um, and we tend to exaggerate where we're at because, as far as we're concerned, nobody can understand our emotions and our inner feelings. My life changed dramatically on the 19th of February 2018. For many, many years, I've been suffering with a condition called SVT, which is a condition that makes your heart beat incredibly quickly for no apparent reason. So much so for me in the state that I've actually passed out twice because my heart rate was very, very high. I've been spending my life trying to be accepted by people and doing funny things and spending money, and I would do anything to make people like me because I thought that I wasn't worthy of being around, uh, given that I was abandoned as a child and adopted. But fortunately, it's not all sad. I was adopted by very, very good people, uh, extended family, so to speak, and I grew up living my life as a lie because I didn't know that I was adopted until early adolescence. And when I did find out, obviously it was fairly traumatic, and it caused me to change my behavior somewhat. I started socializing with the wrong people, got involved in the wrong crowds, did a lot of wrong things, um, and eventually, just to cut a long story short, I met my soulmate, my second wife, and we had so much in common because she'd been through similar issues, um, watching her mother being abused and her family being torn apart and growing up in the system, so to speak, separated from her siblings. So we had a lot in common, but I don't think that it was a sympathy relationship. We understood each other. She knew that I had anger issues, and we faced some tough challenges along the way, but happily today, 30 years later, we're still together, and our blessing is 12 beautiful grandchildren. Um, but not to delve too much and stay too long on that aspect. The focus here is on letting you know that irrespective as to the dark space you find yourself in, there is a way through it. For me, my life-changing experience, as I said earlier on, was in February of 2018, when I was finally diagnosed in hospital with SVT, because before that I'd been like the boy who'd been crying wolf. Every time I'd have an attack, by the time I got to the doctors, it had settled down and there was never ever any evidence, because it's not something that remains behind. But on this occasion, I drove myself to the hospital and collapsed in hospital reception because my heart was beating rapidly. When I say rapidly, we're talking in excess of 200 beats per minute. When the doctor finally witnessed and saw what my heart rate was, it was up at 255 beats per minute, and I don't think he believed what he was seeing. So I became a priority patient for them to do a routine, because apparently this is very, very common. So there are ablation systems in place which are supposed to be routine, and the risk factors were incredibly low. I think it was 15,000 to 1 that something could go wrong. That didn't concern me. My concern was that they just sorted out this problem, because my biggest worry was that I'd be driving and have an SVT attack, pass out and kill innocent people. And that was truly a big concern to me. So I was so happy that they'd find, it sounds strange to say, I was happy for them to find something wrong with me and that something could be done. All the risks associated with this ablation were explained to me. I had complete faith in modern technology and the medical fraternity, and to me the risk was so minimal, and the reward was so great, so the sooner they could do it, the better. So on the 19th of February I was admitted to Auckland Hospital in New Zealand for my routine ablation surgery. And what this is they stick a catheter up through your groin through the femoral artery, with little cameras and laser probes, and they're going to cause short circuits in your heart to see where the problems are. Now, as far as I'm aware, they did find some issues and cauterized it with a laser, and the ablation surgery was a success. What wasn't a success was when they were busy removing the equipment, is they actually burnt a hole through the left ventricle of my heart. Nobody had realized what had happened until they were busy packing up all their medical equipment, and they turned to look at me on the laboratory operating table, and I was dead. So panic had set in, and well, I don't suppose it's panic, because they're medical professionals and know how to deal with these things. I was shot back to life with a defibrillator, and CPR was applied, and all sorts of funny things, and yes, I was alive again, so happy days. They continued to pack up, and the next minute when they looked, I was dead again. So fortunately in my case, they had prepared the operating theatre adjacent to the laboratory for planned open heart surgery, and the heart surgery team were on hand and just waiting for the patient to be brought to the theatre, so I became the priority. However, they didn't move me into the operating theatre, they just did my procedure in place in the laboratory as best they could. So they broke as many ribs as what they had to, and cut my sternum open, albeit that it's not the best job in the world, but the fact of the matter is that I'm alive here, I have to tell you the story. So associated with that problem is the fact that my brain was starved of oxygen for very close to 15 minutes. So for people that don't understand what happens when the brain is deprived of oxygen, cells start dying, and in my case it was associated with my memory, my short-term memory, and various other little factors. But my wife was sitting downstairs having a cup of coffee, knowing that I'd be out of surgery within an hour and a half, however long it was going to be taking. And next minute she was summoned to the ICU unit, because I'd been placed in an induced coma. And they explained to her that when I did eventually surface, that there would be a strong possibility that I wouldn't recognize her. So when I did come to, I had no idea of what had happened, because when I went into theatre for my ablation surgery, this was supposed to be done under a semi-comatose condition where I was supposed to be awake, and for them to see and study and speak to me and do whatever it was that they were going to be doing, um, and understand what they were doing was working or wasn't working, or how I was responding. And to me, when I died, there was no out-of-body experience or anything like that. The lights simply went out. There was a big thump and the lights went out. That's my recall, my recollection of my experience. But however, when I surfaced in the early hours of the following morning, the room was full of people, and people that I didn't know or didn't recognize. Or slowly and gradually, my wife came into focus, and I knew that I knew this woman, and that there was an emotional attachment. And behind her was my son. And I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. And obviously I was anxious and wanted to get out of this bed, but I was restrained. There were pipes and drains coming out all over my body, and bags of blood hanging around the bed. Not the sort of thing I really want to remember. But the fact of the matter is that I was the 1 in a million chance that things would go wrong. I was that one person. I was the minimalistic statistic, if you want to put it that way. So once I grasped the gravity of what had gone on, I understood that I was in pain, and I'm talking in some serious pain. But I accepted that, because given what I just experienced, it's not an everyday fall off a swing or something like that, or fall from a bicycle. It was fairly significant. So 4 days later, they said to me that I was ready to be discharged from hospital, and I was still in so much pain, and they explained to me that there was some fluid on my lungs, but there was nothing to be concerned about. It would clear. And I believed them. I was comfortable with what they said. And there was a scheduled follow-up visit to my GP on the Monday just to see how I was progressing. And when I got there, she took one look at me, didn't even ask any questions, and she summoned an ambulance. I said, "What you doing now?" She said, "My boy, you're going straight back to hospital. You've got pneumonia, and I'm talking serious pneumonia. It's life-threatening. You're going to die again." So I went back to hospital, and I was kept there until the pneumonia was sorted. So amongst all of this, and to deal with the agony, I was given so many different types of medication. I think I was taking between 8 and 10 pills a day, consecutively and on a regular basis, and there were morphine tablets and all sorts of things to help me cope. And with this, there were also antidepressants. I didn't understand why I needed antidepressants for operation, but I was going to do what the doctors told me to do, because at the end of the day, it was my life. I wanted to be well. I didn't want to be a risk to other road users and kill somebody with an SVT attack through loss of consciousness. So it was a little bit trying and difficult, but yeah, it is what it is. So I was almost in a comatose state with all of these pills, because I had no feeling, I had no emotion. I felt virtually no pain, because every time the pain started, I would take more medication. And we are covered here in New Zealand by ACC, the Accident Compensation Corporation, and they were going to take between 2 and 9 months to decide as to whether they were going to cover my medical misadventure. which of course sent my anger levels right through the roof. Now I knew that I seriously had a problem. And not only did I have a problem, my problem was compounded because my total loss of earnings now had become the burden to my wife. And we aren't wealthy people whatsoever. So there were major concerns as to how we were going to survive. So at the end of the day, I was forced to seek political help, and fortunately it was remedied relatively quickly, and I now get an allowance from ACC for what has gone wrong, because with a starvation of oxygen to my brain for, I think it was close to 15 minutes, it caused a lot of cognitive damage. My short-term memory is affected. I can no longer multitask with my brain. It's getting better slowly, but it's just something that I was able to do. And my whole life I've been focused on self-development, because I had to be somebody important for people to accept me, given what I felt about my adoption and abandonment issues as a youngster. But I put all of that to bed many, many years ago. But now, given this traumatic circumstance, all of the stuff that I'd buried in my subconscious has now resurfaced. So not only did I have my operation to deal with, I had all my past trauma, the war that I'd been in, all of those sort of things to contend with. And we often ask ourselves, why me? What did I do to deserve all of this? And a state of almost feeling sorry for yourself, if you like. And I was feeling extremely sorry for myself. But I was emotionless, because the pills just helped me walk around in a comatose state. I could understand an instruction, I could watch television and grasp the baseline of whatever was showing, but don't ask me who the character was in the beginning, because I couldn't tell you his name. I didn't have the capacity in my short-term memory to remember significant things like that. So having said that, clearly I wasn't able to work, and my wife had to be at work, and I was left at home during the course of the day, and with my pain and to contend with. So I spent a lot of idle time watching television. I couldn't really do too much physically, because I was still in a tremendous amount of pain with my sternotomy, or I think that's what they call it. And it was going to take time for the body to heal physically. I still have good friends, but a particular friend that used to come and check on me on a daily basis and make sure I was okay. At times he would even babysit me and take me with me in his van to go and do some of his jobs, just to get me out of the house. But I was everything but happy. I was angry, I was sad, I was depressed, I was anxious. And the one day I walked into my garage, which is fairly neatly arranged, and I saw the tie downs. Now those are steps that you use to secure loads onto utility vehicles or commercial vehicles. And I saw my cable ties, and I thought to myself, you know what? The way you're living at the moment is simply just not worth it. Because you aren't who you're supposed to be. You're not Bill. You're a zombie. So you're not happy with where you're at. Why don't you just end it all? Then you don't have to deal with it anymore. So I set up all of the cable ties around the rafters of the roof. I had a spare computer chair there. I had the cable ties I could strap my arms and hands up with. And once I kicked the chair away, it was all over. There was no comeback from there. So that plan was going to work. I had that sussed. It was, yeah, that was going to be the way I was going to do it. Then I thought to myself, what does it do to my family? What does it do to my wife? What does it do to the ones that I leave behind? Am I now being self-centered because I'm only concerned about myself? And what is the impact going to be on my family? I wasn't scared to do it. I was emotionless. I could have done it quite easily. But the guilt that I felt for thinking the way I did was overweighed by what it would do to my family. So I decided no. Not that I'm a coward, not that I can't do it, I can do it, but it simply wouldn't be fair on the ones that we're going to leave behind. That night when my wife got home, I said to her, I want you to take every single tablet that I take and burn them. She said, you can't do that. How are you going to cope medically? I said, this is the one thing I'm not asking you, I'm telling you to do. You take every single tablet, or if you won't, just come fetch me the tablets and I'll burn them myself because I'm not taking another tablet. So that's what we did. And for the first few days it was difficult because the pain was unbearable. I was going insane. I didn't know how to cope. But slowly, it all came to me. And if I felt sad, I was feeling sad. If I felt tired, I slept. And I let my body take charge of itself. It didn't take away the anger, didn't take away the depression, didn't take away the anxiety, but the body was going to heal itself. And now, given the fact that our accident compensation corporation were providing the medical rehabilitation, I was fortunate enough to meet with an establishment called Integrative Pain Care, which is headed up by Dr. Nick Penny. I'm not sure whether I should mention names here or not, but I owe him a huge amount of gratitude. And he's a neuropsychologist, and on my first consultation I told him everything from the day I was born until my first meeting with him at the age of 62 years old. And he was quite astounded by my life story. And he advised me, he said to me, well, we're not here to take care of only not your mental health, we have to take care of you as a unit. We are integrative pain care, so it's a head to toe rehabilitation centre. And once I told him the whole story, I felt a load off my shoulders. Really, was I better? No. But had I managed to get a lot off my chest? Yes. And he said to me, you should still be taking your medication. I said, you need to understand now that medication is not part of the equation. The way we move forward here is the body heals itself, and you tell me and instruct me as to what I need to do and should do. And it's a credit to him that I'm sitting here talking to you today. Exercise was extremely difficult. I'd had one of the exercise cycles that was far too painful for me to deal with. When I was still young and athletic and in boxing, I used to do skipping, was my go-to exercise. That was too harsh for my chest to compete with. So I started swimming, and not many laps because it was extremely difficult. I was in the pain, and in fact I'm still in pain, but it's something that I deal with. I'm in control of it. And what I did realize is that you have to find time for yourself. Now, we all suffer in different ways, and there's different reasons for feeling the way we do. It might have been child abuse, it might have been neglect, it might have been adoption, it might have been a parent's divorce, it might be spousal abuse. You could be in an abusive relationship, you could have loved somebody and they didn't love you in return and abandoned you. Many of us are in financial difficulty, and unfortunately that's a way of life. It's not something that just goes away. It's just how we deal with it that makes the difference. So there's all of these influencing factors. We could be involved with the wrong types of people. We could be indulging in bad activities and being codependent on drugs and alcohol. So there's a myriad of different things, but the fundamentals, I believe, remain the same. I'm a medical professional, but most of what I mentioned is what I've participated in and been dependent on and done. So there's a way forward, because this is me talking to you today. I believe I'm well on my way and on my path forward, and that's, with my medical misadventure, as negative as what it made it sound, it's probably the most positive thing that's ever happened in my life, because I found purpose. As I explained to you, because of my low self-esteem issues and things that had happened in the past, I always felt the necessity to be accepted. And my way of being accepted was, I would buy my friends, we would have parties, I would sponsor everybody, I would do silly things to make people laugh. I was the comedian, everything just so that people could like me. And that continued right throughout my life until February. Once I'd come out of the other side and gone through the initial shock and trauma and drama of sorting out the way forward, I realized, you know what, you've been living your life completely wrong. Your wife has been, I used to get into so much trouble for entertaining people at my expense with my wife. And said, you know, we're not rich, and yet you want to sponsor everybody. I said to her, yes, lovey, but you know, it makes me happy to see people happy. It wasn't making me happy to see people happy, it was making me happy that people could accept the fact that I was spending money on them so that they could like me and become dependent on me, if you like. So I stopped and I thought about it, and I'd spoken to various people about how miserable and how bad I was feeling after my operation, and I could hear there were sympathetic ears, but something wasn't right. And I realized then that we are all too preoccupied with our own lives to be concerned with other people's issues and drama. When people have got too much baggage, they become problematic for other people. So whether you're speaking to your doctor, your psychiatrist, your neuropsychologist, your close friends, family, relations, you're telling them how you're feeling, and it makes you feel better from within. For those people, if you put yourself in their position, it's fairly difficult, because they have to listen to you, and they have to let you understand that they love you and that they're there to support you and everything. But by the time they walk out the front door, they're thinking to themselves, God, I'm glad that's over. Shame, that poor person. But what can you really do for them? There's nothing anybody can do for you. They can't. You have to do it for yourself. Because you'll find that you don't have too many friends when you're down and depressed and lonely and sad, and you social isolation. You're in a spot and in a dark place all on your own. And when you do speak to people about it, it does make you feel better while you're telling them. But when they're gone, has it made you better? No. So what are you going to do? You have to fix it for yourself. You have to face reality. And that's my purpose in life. That's what I found. I found my purpose in life. I can show you what I have managed to achieve if you are willing to trust yourself. So to this extent, I've actually built a website. I've written a book on where I started from in February of 2018 until now. Now, I'm not completely well by no means, but I'm definitely a lot better than I ever was previously in my life, because I know nobody can help you unless you want to help yourself. And all of the issues that you're dealing with can be controlled. I'm not saying to you stop your medication like I did. In fact, I lie. I am back on some medication, but it's got nothing to do with mental health. My medication is blood thinning tablets because of high blood pressure now with everything that they've done to my heart. I suffer with sleep apnea, so I take sleeping tablets. I'm not dependent on them, but I take them because it does help me. And aspirin to thin the blood. But I don't take painkillers. I don't take antidepressants. I don't take anything that I absolutely don't have to take. So with that, my body now is in control of the next step. And I will go with the flow with my body, because there's only one guarantee in life, and that's the fact that we're going to die. So from the day you are born, you are getting ready to die. You grow up, you get old, you die. That's just evolution. That's what it does. So as we go now, what is meant to be with my body will be. So that's not what I'm trying to allude to. What I'm trying to allude to is that wherever you are in your life right now, and you want to feel better, you can feel better. But you have to be prepared to do some hard things. And one of the hardest things in life is letting go of what's troubling you, because you'll find a million excuses as to why you can't let go. Now, I've written a book as to what I've done, to where I've gotten to, and what's prompted me to make this video to talk to you today. So if you're interested, I'm selling the book for $30, and it's not to become a multi-millionaire, but the fact that I'm unemployed and not able to physically work at the moment, I have to derive an income somewhere or another. Somebody's got to pay for internet, somebody's got to pay for my website, somebody's got to pay for clothing, for food, I have to contribute to my family's existence. So it's certainly not to become a millionaire. It's just to help me to sustain my own existence. So again, the book wasn't written for financial gain. The book was written to help me support my family, but more importantly, to show you that if you want to, you can take control. And it's not an overnight thing. There's no linear measure as to how long it can take or how soon it can be over. Everything is dependent on the severity of your circumstance and on the amount of commitment that you are willing to put in to being in a position where I am today, so that one day you could possibly be making your own video and ready to start helping other people. Now, I'm sorry if my tone has been a little bit monotone. I'm no movie star. I'm no Robin Williams, and that's a person that I aspire to, because he was the funniest man alive as far as I was concerned, and the happiest and luckiest person alive. But he had issues and he committed suicide. We're no different. Sometimes you've got to fake it to make it, and that's how I believe he lived. I don't want to fake it to make it. I want to live and be who I am. And who I am right now is the person who wants to help you. If you want to help yourself, feel free to contact me through my website, purchase my book. If there's anything that you're battling with in the book, you can email me. I will help you every single step of the way. Because if I can help one person to get from where I was to where I'm at now, I've achieved my purpose in life. It's not to be the electrician, it's not to be the health and safety officer, it's not to be the trainer assessor, it's not to be the small business manager, it's not to be the frontline leadership and management manager, because those are all the things I aspire to do to gain recognition and acceptance. None of that was me. That's what I did because I wanted to feel important and accepted. At the moment, what will be more important to me is if you can accept my help. Thank you for listening to my video, and I hope to hear from you pretty soon. Thank you.